Well, maybe to start with, we could just do the minutes, the approval of the minutes, though I don't know. I'll have to recuse myself because I wasn't there for December 4th. So,
Do the minutes. So then you can't do the minutes because then I don't have a quorum.
Right, you need at least a quorum to approve,
Right,
you need at least three to approve them,
to
right?
approve the minutes. So I
Mhm.
we could
suggest
approve
someone.
one, couldn't we? I was there for October 30th.
See here.
No, well, Becky's walking in right now if you want to give her a few minutes.
Yeah, why don't
No,
we,
no,
why
no.
don't we,
No,
why
take
don't
your
we,
time. Can you turn it up?
Hmm?
Can you turn the volume?
maybe people could take a minute or two and review the notes, I mean, the minutes from December 4th and October 30th. Maybe to start with October 30th, as it's the oldest. Any comments, clarifications, edits?
It looks good, but I don't remember who did the motion and who did the second, so sorry.
You don't remember from this meet?
I don't remember October. There was
Mhm.
It,
on the annual report, there's read that couldn't hear the motion and the second.
Ah, oh, that, okay.
Don't remember who it was. I'm sorry.
um, thank you for that. Councilman Hummel, he had actually taken notes that night and he showed me earlier who the first and second was. So I can get that information from him. I'm sorry, can you tell me who that was again?
Steve did the first, Bill did the second, and then it was a 5-0 meeting.
Okay. So
All
someone
right.
could make a motion to amend the minutes to include that information.
I move that we approve the minutes for Thursday, October 30th with the amendment for the motion and second on business item for the 2024 Department of Planning Annual Report, that Steve did the first motion and Bill seconded it, and the vote was 5-0.
Second.
All in favor? Great. December 4th.
Bring light on at all times.
Chairman, we're ready for the minutes from December 4th.
Yes, December. Oh, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I was not there December 4th. So any clarifications, edits? If not, someone can just make a motion to approve as presented.
I just have one question in the critical area on page 2. It reads a little confusing because it says this project is in the critical area IDA residential projects within the IDA that have less than 5,000 square foot of disturbance to provide a water quality plan for compliance. Are they supposed to provide it or are they not supposed to provide it? Because under stormwater management, that's not required. So do they require it?
So any residential project less than 5,000 square feet does not require stormwater management. It only requires a water quality management plan.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
A question procedurally with regard to when the planning commission something is not in compliance with the planning board. Is it our responsibility to make a recommendation to the Board of Appeals or just refer it to the Board of Appeals?
So, Rick Crump, Planning and Zoning Administrator. So you're to make a recommendation on appeals to the Board of Appeal for any variances. So yeah, it's recommendation.
Okay, and that's what we did here.
Correct.
Yeah. Then we'll make a motion to approve the December 4th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes as written.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, so we have a report from Rick for the application 8900 Chesapeake Avenue. I guess in terms of what to go first, maybe we could do that because that might have most public interest. If anyone wanted to comment on that, the other items are more kind of internal housekeeping. Other folks may not be as interested in those. Unless there's a suggestion, any other suggestion for the order of these tonight?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so maybe we'll take up that item C, business approval for 8900 Chesapeake Avenue, Flynn's Arcade and Bar. Rick has given us a great briefing here. I don't know if people have read it. Maybe we could take out maybe 30 seconds for people to look it over. This is a resubmission, including some issues we had brought up when we saw this. Was this September? Can't remember when this was. When it was
May
originally
22nd.
Oh my goodness. Really? Okay.
Chairman, would you like Rick Crump, zoning administrator, to give a follow-up to his report, brief you on his report?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. It's pretty concise here, but maybe just a few words would be great.
Yeah, Rick Crump, Planning and Zoning. So when the applicants were here before the Planning Commission in May, they received a preliminary approval to move forward with applying with the county for construction permits and other. They got a preliminary approval for the type of business use and change of use for the subject property. And the only conditions were that the Planning Commission requested to see a fully utilized life safety fire egress plan, which has been submitted now and has also been submitted at the county and fire marshal. And so they are here tonight seeking the final full approval with the submission of the fire safety plan.
Great. I didn't see that in our documents. Is that something that was shared or that we need to look at?
Yeah. The design?
Yeah.
It should be in the documents, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe that was my mistake here. Let's see if I can grab it. Steve, you had some questions about this. Do you
Yeah,
have the document or able to
No, I
give
have
any?
it. I
Can you
have it.
give some comments on it?
Yeah, first question is, Rick, on your PZ comment one, the ADUs, it was sort of an if then. Have we made a determination on whether an additional ADU is required for this property?
At this point, it does not appear that way. They are still under or at the 20 seats. EDUs are not calculated for standing room. It's only for seating. And so at this point, they're good.
Is that based on a furniture layout plan? They have an occupancy of 166 people
Correct.
allowable. So it's based on a furniture plan?
Correct. It's based on the number of seats in the facility.
So a lot of the equipment in here is not necessarily identified other than the bar seats and a couple of chairs. Are the gaming stations considered seats?
Yeah, once they finalize their build out, we'll go in and do a final inspection before the business license is issued, and then planning and zoning will determine the number of seats and any additional EDU needed
Okay.
at that time.
All right. The kitchenette, you have a 2-compartment sink. I understand you're not going to be doing no heating, no serving, everything's going to be bring in. So as far as we're concerned, what is the purpose of a 2-compartment sink in that scenario?
Francisco Jimenez, one of the owners of Flynn's Arcade and Bar, 8900 Chesapeake Avenue. The purpose for that is really just for any cleaning of incidental equipment. Basically, all we plan on doing is having standard kind of bar fare. Any food that comes in is coming in from outside. The most that we would have would be bags of chips, candy bars, something along those lines. Any food processing we do is strictly for bar prep. So oranges, limes, herbs for drinks specifically.
So no dishware,
No pots and pans type
pots
of
and pans,
dishware.
just
Yeah,
bar
just
glasses,
bar glasses.
rinse and clean.
Yeah.
So then no grease, waste, interceptor, trap, any of that's required is associated with that. Okay. We talked yesterday about this detail for your firewall. Did you talk to the architect about that?
I did. Initially, when we had talked, they had mentioned using a wrap at the roof line. From subsequently talking with them, they've gone further detail into the code. And what will happen is we'll have the 2-hour fire rated wall, I think UL 301 specific, all the way to the very rooftop, and we'll separate the two sides, and that is acceptable.
Yeah, that'll give you a 2-hour separation all the way for that A1 wall or for the A wall.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Panic hardware on the exterior doors, good. You got a walk-off slab. And so I asked yesterday, none of the existing HVAC supplies the all sequence 1 and 2 or 1 and 3.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The ductwork, there's no penetrations, there's no connection between your HVAC and theirs. So
there's
no fire
connection.
dampers required, no smoke dampers.
Correct.
Okay. And that's all I have. Looks good. As I said, you spent a lot of money on these drones,
Way more than I wanted.
but they did good. Now, I will want to mention that as part of our approval, we want to hearken back to our May 22nd comments with regard to parking. And that any approval that we give tonight would incorporate those prior comments with regard to backing in parking and so forth.
Correct. So the small bit of parking that's there is gonna be employee only. We'll have a sign, and that's part of standard operating procedure for any new employees. They'll know that they need to. And then pull forward.
Perfect. Jerome, that's all I had.
Great. Any other comments from the other members?
Yeah, I really like how you switched up things from what you first presented, and you've gone more into detail, particularly with the bathrooms. Good job there.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Y'all have done very well. There's a lot of excitement in the community, so the waiting.
Very much so. Yeah.
We're trying.
You gonna bring back Toe Jam and Earl?
Oh, not to that.
Okay.
Just a quick question in terms of procedure here. We gave a preliminary approval, so does this require a vote, or are they really just complying with our earlier requests? A little confused on that.
Karen, can you weigh in on that, please?
I think it would be cleaner to wrap it up with a motion to say that they had complied with the prior request to submit the additional information and that the planning board would, or planning commission would now approve it.
Okay,
Or
great.
deny it,
Thank you for
whichever.
Great. Thanks for that. So with that in mind, if someone would like to make a motion for, I guess, final approval.
I'll try to wade through that. Make a recommendation for approval of the business at 8900 Chesapeake Avenue, Flynn's Arcade and Bar, in accordance with the May 22nd, 2025 comments and or May 22nd, 2025 planning approval, preliminary approval, as well as the design documents dated November 25th, 2025.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Good job, guys. Good luck
Thank
to
you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, there's been a lot of interest in the town. A lot of. So unless someone else has a preference, I say we just go in order for the remaining items. An election of chair and vice chair. Let me pull up the. Let's see. Put some great notes here. Just some background notes that were supplied wonderfully for us. Planning Commission consists of 5 members serving a 5-year term. I think I've forgotten that myself. Commission members publicly select the chair and vice chair from among their members on an annual basis. Vice chair acts in the absence of the chair during commission proceedings. And is it correct that in terms of process, we'll be doing this on an annual basis, or this should be reaffirmed on an annual basis or changes?
That's correct, Chairman.
Yeah. And just on that note, is anybody, I assume, I know there's been times where people sometimes have lagged in their appointments. I'm assuming everybody is up to date at this
Yes,
point.
everyone's up to date at this point.
All right, great. So, yeah, I'm not sure how to move this
Question.
forward. Yes, go ahead, Steve.
To the chair and vice chair are elected for a 1-year period as in the position, but the board itself is appointed for how long?
5 years.
5 years. Okay,
5
but
years.
every year we choose a chair. Okay, and vice chair. I got it. All
Yeah.
right.
I have a question, concern. I'm not real comfortable with doing this without more of our members present. Must this be done tonight, or can we defer it until next month, hoping that we have more members present?
You're welcome to make a motion to defer it until next month.
That case, I move that we defer the election of the chair and vice chair until next month.
I have a question. Just, Jerome, are you willing to serve as chair?
There's a motion
Well,
on the floor.
but-
I need
yeah.
a second before you can have discussion.
Okay.
Questions.
I do second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
You should have asked your question after the second.
Oh, I was allowed to do that?
Yeah, so once
Sorry, I was
so
quick on that.
just like once there's a motion on the floor, you need a second, and then you can have discussion before you call a vote.
Before you finalize, right?
Yes, before you
Yeah.
call a vote. So
Sorry about that,
unfortunately,
Steve.
he jumped ahead of you and called the vote.
All right.
Can he still ask his question?
He can sure ask this question now.
Questions on the floor?
Good, certainly
Okay, great.
happy to continue in that capacity.
You do a great job, so glad to know that. Okay,
Wonderful. I think Jennifer, thanks for that. Yeah, to do that. The 2025 annual report. Let's see here. Next in line. Pursuant to the Maryland Land Use article, the town of North Beach is required to submit an annual report to the state of Maryland documenting the number of residential building permits issued within the municipal boundaries. Zoning Director Rick Crump has prepared the documents reporting that 2 new residential permits were approved during the calendar year of 2025. In accordance with the state of Maryland's annual reporting requirements, staff recommends approval of the report and authorization for the chairman to sign and submit the document. And that document is included in our documents.
what constitutes new?
Yeah, that's the same question. 2 doesn't seem like enough, I feel like, but
Well, if it's a redevelopment, that's kind of the question. If it's a complete tear down and a rebuild,
Yeah.
is that new or is that redevelopment? How is that defined?
Unfortunately, that's not a question for me. That
it's a Rick question, I
new
think.
is anything that is not.
you can't talk. You're not supposed to talk. I'm not supposed to talk.
You're an audience member. Shh.
Rick, they have a question for you regarding the annual report.
Yes.
Can you restate your question, please?
Yeah, so under the annual report, it says we have 2 new residential permits approved during the calendar year 2025. And the question is, what constitutes new? Is it previously undeveloped land?
Correct.
Only,
Brand new structure.
not brand new structure.
Not a
redevelopment.
rebuild, not a tear down and
Not-
rebuild.
okay.
Brand new structure on a new lot that never had, say, water and sewer prior.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good to know.
They're looking for expanded housing. They're looking for an increase in housing, not rebuild houses.
All right.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
You have a report that references a report.
It's in the documents.
That is a
I don't know if
different.
there's a hard, if someone has a hard copy
Yeah,
there, but
let's see that. Annual report. All no's, one yes. Okay, looks good.
You need a motion?
we do.
I move that we approve the annual report for calendar year 2025 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, so the last one, rules of procedure, discussion and adoption. So there's a few documents to go through here. I guess 3, right? So there's rules of procedure.
Hey, Jerome, one sec, is 8920 Dayton Avenue, is that not on
Is
the
that
agenda?
not happening? That was my question too.
It's not on my agenda.
It was in the documents I think that we got. So just wasn't sure if
That possibly was my fault. You did that in December and it goes to the Board of Appeals on Monday.
Correct.
Then it will come back to you.
So no action.
No, that was my fault. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, and just sorry, I sent some emails today. I wasn't getting emails from Stacy for some reason. So yeah, I sent a few emails today asking some clarification questions. And I did get your email, Stacy, that you responded to later. It was weird. All the emails to town employees bounced back to me at once.
That
So-
was weird.
Okay, but that's cleared up. Okay, so the last item on the agenda is the North Beach Planning Commission rules of procedure, discussion and adoption. As I mentioned, I believe there are 3 things to review, including rules of procedure, alternate member policy, and the approval process for zoning permit, excuse me. All of those, has everybody had a chance to look at those or at least have them available?
So we saw these before, right?
Correct. And we did some work on them, made some adjustments. Presumably everything that has been discussed has been reflected in the documents. So it's more a matter here of confirming that they reflect our concerns and requested edits.
Chairman, can I speak on behalf of that, Stacy Myler, Town Clerk? I wasn't at that October meeting, so I did do the best that I could to pull your concerns into the document that I redlined.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to look at the redlined and let me know if that is correct, or if you still want to change something that I redlined in the document. Unfortunately, that's the hard part about not being at the meeting and just listening to it.
Sure. I mean, why don't we take this in a bit of an order here, at least so we can just concentrate on one thing at a time. Maybe the alternate member policy first. That's the one that's most simple, I think, to start off with. A few edits were made on that. If people could comment on it or take a moment to review it, that would be good, or you can do it simultaneously if people have any comments.
I think that number 2 is still confusing in that alternate members are expected to attend all meetings, participate in discussions, and shall vote on all projects they participate in. So we can conceivably have a quorum plus additional alternates who would be expected to vote based on my reading of roles and responsibilities.
That's what I got out of it too.
Yeah.
What was lined out was when a regular member is absent, excused, or disqualified due to a conflict of interest. And I think that
Yeah,
needs to
that's
be
right.
back in.
Yeah, so one full sentence, which provides clarity on when that person votes.
Yes.
I think it would make sense. Yeah, if that's one contiguous like sentence there, then I think that would make sense, right?
I think you scratch all in the second sentence. An alternate shall vote on projects they participate in for each meeting when a regular
Yeah.
member is absent, excused, or disqualified.
Yeah, no, I think that would be fine. I mean, it would reflect our discussion previously and the wishes of the committee.
And I don't have a problem with 3 as it was previously written. I wonder why we scratched that.
Yeah, I think that would be good to leave in,
Mm-hmm.
because that makes it very clear that they are sitting in.
Yeah. No, it has to be a formalized process, and I think that's best done right at the beginning of the meeting.
How do you, as the alternate, how do you guys feel about that last line in number 3, though? That alternates not seated may participate in deliberations at the discretion of the chair. Because I could see that there could be some conflicting opinions on, like, let's say I come to a meeting, because we had a lengthy discussion about alternates still attending the meetings regardless of whether they're seated or not, so that we know what's going on. Because if we miss a meeting and then it comes back to us a month later and we don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm totally on board with attending the meetings. But I do think it's a gray area of, like, if I come to a meeting and I'm seated in the audience because everyone is here, as much as I'd love to be involved in the conversation and voting, I don't think I should be, because there's no need for me to be. But according to that last line, it's really the discretion of the chair to decide if an alternate is allowed to be a part of the vote if all members are here, because I think it's a gray area and also could be misleading or confusing, like, if there are other people in the audience, let's say in attendance to the meeting, and then all of a sudden you have a random person in the back of the room who's weighing in on the vote, because why would I be up here if I'm not needed? I think that could be confusing as well, because, like, if they don't know that I'm an alternate, which they wouldn't, then they're gonna be like, why is this random person in the back of the room voting on something? Do you know what I mean? Just a thought.
Well,
I'd like to be involved in everything, but
yeah, I mean, part of that I think is a great point. I think we should discuss, but the part about not being known, that can be mitigated by announcing the alternates, at the beginning of the meeting. So that one small issue could be mitigated, but it's a good point, I think, on whether or not to participate in discussions. Part of me would welcome that, as long as there's some discretion in the amount of discussion that's produced. But it's a difficult one to. I can see it also creating issues.
Someone
Please,
raise their
Karen.
hand for a question.
I mean, and I'd be interested to know what Karen has to say about it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, so when you look at the annotated code of Maryland, which in the land use article, that's what dictates the planning commission's authority and everything. And it states in there that the legislative body can designate one or more alternates to sit on the planning commission, but it's in the absence of any member of the commission. So it says if an alternate member is absent, legislative body could to appoint somebody else. But I think that the focus is they can sit in the absence of any member of the commission. And I think that if you allow them to engage in a dialogue with the planning commission, that might step over their authority under the land use article. That's what I would be concerned about.
If they haven't been seated for the meeting.
Correct. If they have not been seated for the meeting.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, and I would take Becky's point that it can be confusing for the public as well, even if it's announced at the beginning of the session. One related question I would have on that is, maybe this is just the discretion of the chair, but say there are multiple alternates, and we would need an alternate seated if we needed a quorum, because we couldn't vote without that. But then there's the idea of, well, could we get up to 5, for example, the normal amount of people? Say we had 2 alternates sitting just like tonight. Say we had another alternate. Is it just a discretion of the chair? Is there any guidance to how to handle that?
So I think what you're saying is you have 2 alternates seated to achieve a quorum.
Well, if we have more alternates than are required to complete a quorum.
Well, then only one of them would be seated, right? The other one would not be required to attend, or they could sit in the audience. I don't know that if you're saying could that one that's not seated participate by asking questions?
No, be seated. So say if we have, say a quorum is 3 of 5, correct, for us. So, but say that on a regular night. So say we have a quorum of commissioners sitting, but we have 2 alternates when we normally would have up to 5 members of the commission for discussion. Can we add those other 2 alternates to sit for that, or is it just we only add them to get up to the quorum level?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I think you can add them to reach 5 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So like tonight, I think you could have had a second alternate to give you that another person attending and voting, especially just in case somebody had an accident on the way there. I hate to throw that out there, but then you would still have had a quorum, right? Because somebody wasn't able to make it for an intervening cause. But yeah, you could seat 2 of your alternates at one time to get over the quorum and try to achieve 5.
Okay.
Well, that should be stated in the alternate member policy when the alternates are seated. I don't think it is.
Well, because I just want to say, because remember, the language I read to you earlier also said that in the absence of any member of the commission, it didn't say solely to achieve a quorum of the commission.
No, I'm just saying that this particular policy does not say in the absence of, or in order to.
Well, I think because
they said they're appointed to ensure continuity and maintain a quorum, but it doesn't say when they're seated. And I think maybe if we just added a line, number item that says when they are to be seated.
Well, and I think if we put that red line back in number 2, then that will clarify that. If we put in an alternate shall vote when a regular member is out, I mean, you could say an alternate will be, I mean, I guess if it says shall vote, you're assuming that they're seated, right?
Well,
that's right. So I think what Steve is getting to is it doesn't seem to be clearly stated about seating someone relative to the point we're speaking to. It says, as Becky said, that when a regular member is absent, they have the right to vote, but not about, whether it's a chair's decision or whether we.
Okay.
That makes sense.
5.
And if we did that, then in number 3, we could be definitive about what you had spoken. Alternates not seated may not participate in deliberations.
I would feel a lot more comfortable if, I mean, policy is great. But there's nothing in here that addresses alternates. Should we not add another section into 8-100 to cover alternates and then put all this stuff there? So that our laws here in North Beach reflect all this stuff about alternates?
Do you want me to weigh in on that or?
Yes,
Please.
please.
So,
Yes, please.
so I guess what what I would say is, um, the planning commission exist because the land use article authorizes the legislative body of the town to create a planning commission that is consistent with all the requirements under state law, right? So, um, if you did not have something in your code that applied to the planning commission, we would go straight to the land use article and say, okay, what does that say? And so the legislative body has taken the steps it needed to take to appoint everybody and to create the commission. And as a part of that, you have the authority to do the alternates. Can you add it? Absolutely, you could add it to the code if that's what you wanted to do, or um, it, but I don't know that you absolutely have to. You still have the authority to do this policy to address the alternates that have been appointed by the legislative body, because the legislative body is not the one who's going to identify when they sit, because they're not going to get into whether or not you have a quorum for every regular meeting. That's going to be the planning commission and the chair's responsibility, in my view.
Thank you. I just feel that when we have people coming in to present projects and things, that if there's nothing in here that tells them about the alternates and the circumstances under which they can act and stuff, that we're going to get challenged on it at some point. I personally would feel more comfortable if we just added another little section that addresses that we do have alternates, the appointment and term thing and the roles and responsibilities. The other stuff is fine, you know, that's great for policy, but appointment and term and should be, I believe, in 8-100. Just to, I mean, we have people who come before us with projects and they don't go read state law. If we're lucky, they'll look at this. I just think
True.
that, you know, the clearer we are in our local stuff, the better it is for us.
So Rick Crump, Planning and Zoning, my suggestion is we had discussed that our comp plan will be done here relatively soon this year, and that we were going to move on to a rewrite or overview of the zoning ordinance. So I'll keep that in my notes, and then when we get to that, we can certainly do an ordinance update and add those into that chapter of the zoning ordinance.
If you need help, I've written sections before, and I would be more than happy to come up with some wording if time runs short.
Yep.
Appreciate the legal opinion.
So I think that's a great thought, Jennifer. So thanks for that. Back on the seating issue, I'm sensing some consensus on needing to clarify the seating issue, like when someone is seated, whether they're seated to create a quorum or whether we will seat as many people, as many alternates as possible to reach five. It does seem like that would help clarify things. And then once seated, then maybe roles and responsibility or just a sentence saying that they, once seated, they act at full capacity of commission member. So how to do this? Maybe should we do some rewrites onto this on designation? I guess that's what we're talking about, seating, right? It's essentially designation. I mean, we could.
That is an add and 2 and 3 as a rewrite. Would the seating be at the discretion of the chair?
Well, I think that's what we're discussing.
Well,
Whether
what I
that
mean
should be
is if we had a quorum of 3, 2 alternates were available, would we be required to seat 2 alternates, or would it be up to the discretion of the chair to maybe only seat 1? That's the question.
And Karen, I
Well-
think that it sounds like that's up to us to decide that, right? There's nothing.
So I would say that that is up to you, but oftentimes if you had something come before you, and you see this more with a Board of Appeals than you do at the Planning Commission, but if you had a matter come before you that required a final decision, a lot of times the applicants might want a full board if they can, especially if they have a controversial issue, right? So it may want to be the Planning Commission's policy to, if we know 2 members are not going to be able to attend, that we ask that both alternates attend. Or should I say 2 or more are unable, so that you're always trying to achieve the 5 rather than just trying to get the quorum.
I think that makes sense, personally. And any thoughts from the committee on that? From the commission, excuse me. I think that's the 3rd time I've called us committee.
So the language would be sort of to maximize the participants,
Yeah.
right? Utilization of the alternates to maximize the participation of the planning commission members.
To reach 5, yeah.
To reach full capacity.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could put that in roles and responsibilities. We're already expected to attend all meetings, participate in discussions, remain familiar. I think you could add some verbiage in there of like, you know, would that they'll be expected to sit to achieve a board of 5 or something. You know, I mean, you could easily just put another line in there, and then from there can say they'll be expected or required to sit to make up a board of 5, and the alternate shall vote on those in that meeting when seated, when a regular member is absent, you know, blah, 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 blah. You could probably roll it all into there because it falls under responsibilities. And then if you wanted to add in 3, you know, at the beginning of each meeting, the chair shall identify any alternates, although I think on my little name tag, it says I'm an alternate, right? So I don't know if that's something that needs to be also, I mean, it's there, right?
Yeah, that may need to be verbal for the recording.
Yeah. So
Well,
you could say like identify alternates and then be recorded in the meeting minutes and
For number 3, I've changed it to at the beginning of each meeting, the chair shall identify any alternates who will be seated as voting members. Such designation shall be recorded in the meeting minutes. Alternates not seated may not participate in any deliberations.
I like it. It's good.
Perfect.
So that's number 3.
Yep.
I do need to add another sentence. For number 2, I said alternate members are expected to attend all meetings, participate in discussions when seated at the meeting, and remain familiar with all matters before the commission. An alternate member shall vote on all projects they participate in when a regular member is absent, excused, or disqualified due to a conflict of interest. But there's still a sentence you want to add to that section.
Just when seated rather than when regular members is absent. Because
Yeah, when
that,
seated.
when seated, and then we
Agreed.
can address when they should be seated in a different paragraph.
When regular members are absent and
Alternate members are expected to attend all meetings, participate in discussions when seated, comma,
Period.
when seated. And so I'm taking the remainder of the sentence out.
Yes.
Well, I think we should remain familiar with all matters. I don't know if it needs to be part of that sentence, though. Like, you could have roles and responsibilities. Alternate members are expected to remain familiar with all matters before the commission, period, done. Also expected to attend all meetings and participate in discussions when seated.
Yeah,
And
the participating,
vote,
yeah.
yeah, and vote on all projects when seated to replace a regular member absent, whatever, I mean, something like that.
Okay, I got it.
The when regular members are absent should be in its own paragraph with regard to when we're going to seat alternates, not under the roles and responsibilities. Because we're going to add a paragraph that says when we're going to seat alternates, right? We're going to seat alternates when regular members are absent, excused, or disqualified due to conflict of interest, to the greatest extent that we maximize our planning commission participation.
You could do that, but under 3, it already says at the beginning of each meeting, the chair shall identify the alternates who will be seated as a voting member.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to be a whole separate
No, yeah.
paragraph.
I think it should.
I think you could just add it in as an extra sentence under designation and voting.
Yeah, maybe to start with.
Yeah.
What do you want the sentence to say, please?
Some
When the commission is less than 5 members, alternates will be designated to sit in to reach the maximum number of commission members.
I think that would work at the beginning, the first sentence, and then from that flows. At the beginning of each meeting, the chair shall identify, you could say, such alternates who will be seated as voting members.
When the commission is less than 5 members, alternates will be designated to participate in the meeting to reach the maximum number of commission members.
When possible, yeah.
Or when a regular member is absent, excused, or disqualified due to a conflict of interest, the chair shall identify any alternate who will be seated as a voting member. That's pretty concise.
Okay, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Can I go back and put this all together again? I'll send it back out and then you can look at it and vote on it at your February meeting, please.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Everything else look good on there? Just a final review. We've been focusing on 2 and 3, but anything else? I'm assuming not, because we've already looked at this.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just a
good.
quick check-in. Okay. Okay, so we have 2 more. We have guidelines and approval process for zoning permits.
I'm not sure that's anything you need to vote on. This was just a document for your reference.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, I didn't think we had any previous discussion on this.
No, the next document is the rules of procedure.
Yeah. Okay, does everybody have that? So there are maybe 4 or 5 edits that were done to that. So I would encourage people to look for those, mostly on the second page. Mostly on the second page with 1 on the third page. Third page is just a typo, so that doesn't seem very significant.
Is
Do you want to
it just a memo? Is
It's
the memo regarding rules of procedure 1 page?
the big.
No, the rules of procedure are a separate document.
Oh,
3 pages.
It's titled
4 pages, excuse me.
2026 January draft.
Draft, yes.
I know there's a lot of attachments. If you look for 2026.
Did you want questions and comments now?
memo.
So we have the revised rule of procedures, which have been redlined, right?
Yes, that was a document that the commission discussed at the October meeting, and I took
Yes.
that meeting and I hopefully captured the changes that you wanted to the document
Yes. So that's
based
what I'm
off of the recording.
great. So
Yeah.
does everybody have that document?
No, I do not.
Town of North Beach Planning Commission rules of
I'm gonna go
procedures and
to-
edited documents got a watermark on it, says draft.
Was it in
is
your
for-
email?
It
Was it is?
I'm
What's the
pulling
title?
all mine from board
What's the
docs. So I
title?
don't.
2026 January draft rules. It's also, everything's loaded in board docs.
I know, I just went off your email, so,
That's fine.
say it's called what, 2026? I don't have that. All right, let me go to board docs.
I see
Find it.
now.
I don't think it was in the email. See it.
See it. Mm-mm.
I got it.
It is in board docs.
Mhm.
No.
It is.
When we discussed it in October, we kind of left it with, Stacy was gonna work on what we had talked about at that point. But we didn't have a lot of time to read it and digest it before we saw it. So we were to go home and read it and then come up with any other questions. So I do have a couple more questions.
I mean, I'm happy just to have an open floor for a few minutes for people to discuss. Steve's going to need to pull that up and have a look. I had reviewed these previously and was fine with them, so I'm more concerned about that. Well, that as a first step, just to make sure these edits reflect the discussion from October, and then second, if there's any additional comments.
To start with, I think this is another thing where we don't want to approve it tonight. We want to wait until we have feedback from everybody. But to start with, under section 5, procedure for bringing matters before the commission. The very last sentence there, unscheduled items may be added by unanimous consent of members present. I think that bar is a little bit too high. And kind of stifles things because it's not always that you would get a unanimous thing on something that might need to be discussed. So I would like to have that be majority instead of unanimous. And then in section 7, public comment. That whole first paragraph, no person other than a member of the planning commission, town administrator, designee, or town attorney shall have the right to discuss any matter in a meeting of the planning commission unless by consent of a majority of the planning commission or in that person is scheduled to appear before. That whole thing is off-putting and seems to kind of discourage public comment. What we have been doing I personally have felt has had a lot of merit. What we have been doing is asking during deliberations, before we vote, you have asked if anyone in the audience has any comments concerning it. To me, that's been very valuable because our community oftentimes notices things or has input on things that we might not think of. And just to toss one out there, the several community members that came in regarding one project where an alley and access was involved. Unless all of us as a group went over there and walked down that alley or knew to do that, we might not have had that point of view. So what I would suggest for that is maybe setting aside a designated time period before we vote on anything, just to ask for public comment.
So Jennifer, that's covered in the next paragraph. And I think it's delineated between discussion and comment. Right? So the public has a right to comment as mentioned in the next paragraph. But when I read this, my perception was that it's the discussion part, and that to participate in the discussion with the commission has to be by decision of the commission versus just a comment for someone getting up and speaking their piece.
See, I didn't read it that way.
No.
No, I can see where you would though.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought it was more about like, somebody, say we bring in an expert or consultant or somebody to actually sit and have a discussion with us. Um, in some, I mean, in some ways it's, as the chair, I and this is not a legal perspective, but more just a personal one about um, setting up boundaries, you know, between hearing people and being forced into a discussion, which is slightly different and sometimes difficult if it's a really contentious subject. I definitely have fully agree with you that the public comment set is really important for us to get information. It's also a release valve, also for the community to be able to come in and speak to things that are important to them. So I think it serves a number of purposes. Um, so that's how I was seeing it, more of this kind of intimate discussion part, which is the first paragraph versus public comment and concerns. But I don't know. Any thoughts from anybody else on that? If we need to reword that to maybe make that more explicit, or I mean, I certainly take your point.
I think it's just the wording. Because my first thought when reading it was, we don't want them to speak. And that's not what we intend to communicate.
Sure.
Maybe if we add in, yeah, I think I would totally reword that whole thing.
Carrie, do you have any thoughts on that in terms of the purpose of that first paragraph? And I'm assuming it's to maintain the integrity of discussion within the commission.
I would assume as well. I think you could strike the beginning and say the town administrator, staff, or the town attorney shall have the right to discuss any matter at a meeting of the commission. I don't know if you need or want to have unanimous consent or at the discretion of the chair. Um, it could even be an A, and B could be the public comment portion. But I think what's confusing is planning commission, the town administrator, a the staff or the attorney are not really quote unquote public comment, right? And that I think might be the rub there is we put their participation in with public comment. You could relocate that first part into another section, or you can rename the public comment something other than that, which would be, I don't know, participation by others or something to that effect.
Yeah, but participation, discussion, something. I agree. As presented here, this goes beyond public comment, so it needs to maybe have its own section, like you said. Retitle this section, participation in public comment or something, or move it somewhere.
Can I ask why that first paragraph is even
I was at that. That was my initial question to
Need-
Karen. About
needed?
the need for it. Yeah.
I mean, you could always just say to ensure orderly and productive meetings, discussion is typically reserved for members of the planning commission. If you and then go on to the public
Unless,
comment.
and it's something about unless changed by the chair or something like that. Because you do want to allow people to come in and discuss, experts and so forth.
Right. Do you want me to work on it? based on what you're, okay.
Is everyone okay with that? With that wording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to 5. Unscheduled items may be added by unanimous consent of the members present. So unanimous consent just means no one objects. Doesn't require a vote, doesn't require anything. It just is, everybody says, yeah, it's okay. So I don't know why we would need to change that. And if they did, that's not unanimous consent, then that's it.
Can't be discussed.
Unanimous
And
consent,
then-
one member can say,
See why it has to be unanimous.
it's not meaning unanimous. Unanimous means everybody, if one person wants to object, then it's not by unanimous consent. They can't do it. One person objects. Unscheduled items may be added by unanimous consent, which means that it can be added as long as no one objects.
But what if what if one person
Yep,
out of the 5 of
that's
us
it.
objects?
Yep.
See, that's not right. I
know.
think that's that burden is too high. There are things that I think we could bring up and discuss that maybe that one person doesn't know about.
Well, which would be not fair to the one person who doesn't know about it, who says, look, I'm not prepared to discuss or vote on this.
Because it doesn't mean, because it just means that then they have to go through the proper avenues to become to get on the agenda for another meeting.
For another meeting.
It doesn't mean that we're not going to see it again.
Yeah, it just means that I don't want to discuss that tonight.
I do not like unanimous consent. I just don't. I think it's too high of a bar.
It's a very low bar, which means one person. One person can object.
We can sit here and do glass half empty and glass half.
No, not really. It's completely.
But if somebody wants to add something to the agenda, there's nothing saying that we have to make a decision on whatever we discuss at that point. It's just, hey, this might be an issue. Can we talk about it?
And if everyone agrees, then we can.
None of our votes are unanimous driven.
Mm-hmm.
Our votes are majority driven.
That's right.
So why would we have a unanimous driven one to get a discussion going? That makes no sense to me.
You could give it to the discretion of the chair, benevolent chair.
Well, the whole thing that we've recently done is we've established deadlines for the purpose of being prepared to come to these meetings. So for something to come, be brought up and say, okay, this is going to be on the table tonight for discussion. I think that if one person can object to that, it should be allowed to object.
In seriousness, I might consider delegating that to the chair. I think a number of things need to be taken into account. As Steve raises, there is the length of the meetings. There is the attention that such an agenda item might require. For an important matter to be put into a meeting that may be chock full and already 2 hours long on a given night. So I think there's a lot of contingencies that are taken into place. It's not just a matter of being able to get something on or off. It's really looking at the whole of the meeting for a particular evening and the need for that discussion. So it requires a number of things, and I'm not sure a description here is going to be able to get into a number of those things. So maybe that's something where the chair has to just figure out if that's appropriate for the night, and obviously in discussion with the commission.
Or adding something for a procedure for how to get something put on the agenda.
We have that.
I mean, do we need to
We
have,
just established that for getting things on the agenda, the timeline in order to do that.
I mean, do we have
That's
to
not
have that
for
line
us,
at all?
though. That's for projects. So
Let's
if
put
you
it
want
over
to
here.
discuss an issue,
can we just nix the line?
are we?
Could we
still
just
going
get rid
to
of
that?
it? I mean, if there's clearly there's a lot of opinions about it, which is fine, but like, could we just take the line off and then we don't touch on unscheduled things, and so then technically in writing, we don't have it doesn't come up because it's not there. I mean, you know what I mean, you know what I mean? Like if you just take it off, then no one can read that and be like, oh, okay, I think I'll bring an unscheduled. I mean, it just kind of then sets the precedent that we have a prepared meeting agenda, that it needs to be submitted in advance and that we don't even allow at all.
That totally takes away what Jennifer's trying to achieve.
I
Yeah.
know.
Wait. My intent was not to have members of the public bring something before the commission. My intent was addressing items that the commissioners might want to bring up for discussion as a commission.
Oh, I
And
don't
have
read that.
something on
I
the
read that
agenda.
as unscheduled items before from the public because it's underneath of bringing matters before the commission. I don't think that
It
touches
doesn't
on any
specify
discussion.
whether it's public or whether it's
Yeah.
from the staff liaison.
Well, because I just thought as a commission, we could have our discussions as we see fit. But I guess it's not
I
specified.
thought so too until I read that. So I think that's
I
that.
just kind of read the
where-
context of the rest of the paragraph and just made the assumption that it was required, like it was alleging to public facing
It could be.
things,
It could be.
which
It
like,
doesn't
I mean, I
specify.
would say probably a lot of people would read it that way based on the context clues of the paragraph. However, yes, it is not explicitly stated that that is only for public, because then wouldn't that be listed somewhere under public comment instead of bringing in front of the.
Can we ask Karen something? Karen, what are the legalities for the commission in regards to the agenda?
So that's a pretty open question.
So
Um,
in regards to this question here, they're asking about adding things to the agenda or topics that they're going to discuss. Is there anything in the law that prevents them from doing that or sticking with the agenda that's been posted publicly?
So I think it is more, you have control over your agenda. You establish your agenda. The Open Meetings Act applies. The Open Meeting Act requires that you allow your meetings to be public. It does, and that people can come and observe and see what happens. It does not require you to have a general public comment period, right? So somebody could come, you can limit discussion to those items that are on the agenda. You may not allow public comment regarding certain items unless you have a public hearing. It depends on how you want to structure your agenda. You do not, if somebody comes at public comment and says, I'd like to add this to your agenda, you always have the ability to say, we can't do that at this time.
Which is the
We
whole,
will
which
direct
is
you
what
to work with
unanimous
staff.
consent is.
I'm sorry?
Which is what unanimous consent is, if someone objects to that. So I love a benevolent chair, but they could potentially have a tyrannical chair at some point. And some developer comes through and he's got to get something done quickly and quietly, and he brings it in at the last minute and says, here, vote on this. Or
Well,
one
and-
person could object to that and say, no, we're not going to do that tonight. I want more time.
Yeah, I think my concerns were only that
Correct.
we have put, as a town, we have put these deadlines out for the public and other things for submittals. We've put out
Yeah.
a public agenda. I was just concerned what the legalities are of adding to that agenda without any public notice or,
Like from the commission standpoint.
yes.
Yes, like not from the public standpoint, but from like if someone comes in and says, you know what, I know this isn't on the agenda, but I want to talk about this as a commission member. What's our allowance to make changes to the agenda on site?
Or I did all the things right. I got my submissions in time. He didn't. He just got it slipped in and it got approved quickly.
Well, so wherever you have any notice requirements, you could not act on anything that was brought to you at the last minute, right? Because then the
Yeah.
public wouldn't have proper notice, it wouldn't have due process. So,
Which is what accordance with the submission deadlines published by the town says.
right. So the only thing that I would think unscheduled items may be added is, if somebody came to you and said, I want to do a certain use, this is going to come before you, but before I even go through all the application process, I wanted to know what your thoughts were. Maybe that's an unscheduled item. But that's the kind of thing I would probably say, let them go make an application and go through the formal process, and
But
then you will advise them.
But I think like going off
Mm.
what Rick's question was like, what if on the agenda, what if one meeting I come and I say, hey, I know it's not on the agenda, but I want to have a discussion and vote about our term limits. I don't know. What as a committee can the commission members make changes to the agenda at the meeting? Is that kind of what you were trying to ask, right, Rick? So it has nothing to do with the public. It's for us. Can we make changes to our own agenda during the meeting?
And I said that because
Unscheduled.
the public, well, anything that the public brings in, there should be a staff report attached to what we do, our
Yeah.
internal. So I would
That's-
think that should just not be allowed.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
My question was, if you wanted to come in and say, talk about parking regulation, that you wanted to add that to the agenda, are there any legal problems with them doing that because it wasn't posted? I know this is not a public hearing, it's just a public meeting and they're different. So I just want to make sure that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think so. If somebody comes in and says, I had an issue come up last week about parking, I'd like to add this to the agenda. You would never be able to make a decision that night, right? But somebody might say, I want to make you aware of this. This came up. I'd like to ask staff to look into that and report back to us.
You can't say never. That's why, I mean, the whole purpose for me is the authority of a singular member to be able to block by not giving unanimous consent to something coming in to the planning commission that's not on the agenda last minute and trying to get approved. If one person on that membership says, no, I don't agree, they should have that right and authority as a member in the commission and not be steamrolled potentially. And these are all abstractions by a majority of other members who are getting paid under the table. Who knows what, right? To get this get this project
Agreed.
approved. So that's
I mean,
why I
can
like
we-
the language the way it is.
And you feel that way for a public and from us
Yes,
as well. Like if I
absolutely.
said,
I
hey,
like
you know
it the
what,
way-
my
I like
buddy
it the
wants
way
to
it's
get their
written.
project
Yeah.
going, it's not on the agenda.
I like it the way it's written.
Just clarify.
But this, I mean, Steve, I think there's a discussion to be had about whether if this section is procedure for bringing matters before the commission, right? This is the public bringing requests to the commission.
Applications, petitions, and other planning matters.
Correct. So I mean, we would never allow that, would we? I mean, people can't come and present an application in person on the agenda, right? So, and then we have a public comment section. Someone wants to come in and say, that new parking regulation you passed is terrible, and I think you should whatever. We have a public comment section that they can do that. So right now I'm leaning to maybe just take it out. Isn't that like to take it out of that section? I mean, obviously I think that most of us would, as a commission, would like to be able to add discussion matter for our time. Nothing we vote on, but a discussion matter.
I agree.
But that's
Jerome,
different
But
than
if one
somebody-
person
that's
objects, why can't one person object?
Well, I think we need to make a distinction here about matters being brought, requests being made by the public to get on the agenda to review an item or something versus the commission adding a discussion item to an agenda. To me, those are
If
two
nobody,
separate.
if nobody objects, then we can certainly do that. I'm agreeing with you 100%, but it's that one time, that one person.
Well, I just said, but
who
for
does
me,
object.
section 5 it infers in the title, procedure for bringing matters before the commission.
Yeah,
That
not
that to me is
unscheduled
the
matters.
public. That's to
Scheduled
me
matters.
is that to me is the public.
It addresses
so-
both scheduled and unscheduled matters. It clearly says, submitted items in accordance with submission deadlines and published by the town. Unscheduled items can be added, but by unanimous consent.
I
So
think
may
maybe-
That's what I said. My preference would be just take that out.
Yeah, because when I think part of the contention or the conversation is like, I agree with Jerome that like that title of section 5 to me infers that it is a public facing, not within the commission. And so I think part of the conversation is like, yeah, I think we'd all be in a fair level of agreement that if a public member came with an unscheduled item, we would never be like, yeah, sure, let's hear it. We'd want to have them go through the proper avenues. I think it's more of a conversation of if someone on the commission wants to put something for discussion on the agenda item.
You're reading into it. It doesn't say that at all. And I don't know why, if this language was good enough before, why it needs to be changed now. I mean, I'm just giving lots of different scenarios in my mind about potentiality. I mean, we're all great people here and we're all fair and just, and, we're not going to be approving some sleazy developers, program at the last minute. But
Okay,
this is a procedure.
it was not my intent for this to turn into this whole big thing. I did not look at that as members of the public coming in with a project and wanting us to look at it and vote on it that night. I don't think that's a good idea. I would totally take that out. But I do think there needs to be something, some procedure, some policy somewhere that guides what happens when one of us sees an issue out in the public that we think pertains to planning and wants to have a discussion with the commission about that issue. In that case, I don't think the ability to bring that to the table, so to speak, just to talk should be shot down by one person.
Is there a policy or is there some type of procedure if that comes up, Rick or Stacy, that like, do we have to come and present it to you guys to have it added to the agenda?
So it has happened in the past, and usually it's just an email. Hey,
Can we add this on?
we add this to the agenda. Usually that happens, and then
And if there's no objection, fine.
well, no, usually it's done.
Done
Previously, it's
in-
been done ahead of time, and it's
Yeah.
just part of the agenda.
That's fine. If it's part of the agenda, then it's in accordance with the
Yeah.
plan. If it's not, that one person objects, all they're saying is that you cannot do that at this meeting unscheduled.
Like,
Doesn't
we
mean
don't
you
wanna-
can't do it later
Like we
at a
just don't
development
want to
meeting
discuss it
in
at
accordance
this.
with the submission deadlines. It just means you can't do it right now.
I feel like the current language like encourages people to bring stuff. Like, because because as I said, when I read this section, it's for the public bringing matters before the commission.
I don't see that.
But I think by putting unscheduled items on there, it kind of says to people, well, you can show up, and if you get 3 or 4 people to agree with you, you can have your
You
item
would have to
put on
take,
the
you'd have
agenda.
to take out other planning matters then. If you wanted to limit it to applications and petitions, those are all forward facing. Other planning matters could be anything.
Shall be submitted to the staff liaison in accordance with submission deadlines published by the town. I mean, that is for the public bringing matters before us.
What
We don't bring,
used to do.
so
What we used to do was have on the agenda a section for old business and new business. And if you wanted to bring something up for discussion, then you let the chairperson know, hey, can we add this to new business? Because I think it's worth discussing and this is why. And then it got added under new business. Often we didn't do anything with it at that point because it was new and everybody was just hearing about it then. So
Because
then
it's-
we slid it on to old business for the following meeting so that everybody had time to think about it and research it and decide, whether it was even worth merit. And then we brought it up at the following meeting under old business and either addressed it or didn't. And that helped.
I
But
mean,
there needs to be some kind of a clear process for us to be able to bring matters up for our fellow commissioners as, hey, this is an issue. Do we need to do anything to address it? Can we help in this way? Is this good? Is this bad? Because we all notice things. We all see that there are issues and they need to be discussed.
No one's saying in
Yeah.
this paragraph, no one's saying you can't do that.
I addressed that already.
I'm just saying that, no, you're saying that we should have a procedure. We do have a procedure to do that. And even the unscheduled items can be addressed, can be discussed, as long as no one objects.
And I still have a problem there. Because you know what? We're all different. We're not always all gonna agree, just like we don't have.
That's right. That's part of why we're all on the planning
But
commission.
no one person should be able to block the other four from being able to talk about something. That's not,
Until the next meeting.
then you just make a motion and say, I move that we defer this until the next meeting.
well, and I think,
And
cool, because
and that the majority can still overrule that one individual who can say, I wasn't prepared to discuss or vote on this item because it was not submitted. I didn't have time to review it.
I feel like we might go round and round on this for a bit.
Yeah, I'm done.
So,
I've
yeah,
explained
so,
my point of view.
yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure where to go from here. Yeah, my last word would be, I think we make this section for the public bringing of items to us. And if we want to change our agenda, maybe we address that somewhere else. But that would be my preference as chair, is to not have that language even in there, that people can bring things. I think just having this as a closed loop, if you want something before the commission, you've got to go through the paperwork of getting it to us. But I don't think we're going to get to an agreement on that tonight. So just procedurally, how do we want to handle this document? We are less than a full commission tonight. Should we defer on this? Should we should we look at other items to get those done? How do we,
What are the
how do
items?
we?
What's remaining?
anything else that's.
There's some other edits in section 6.
Oh, just the other rest of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, this is the last item on the agenda, unless someone wants to add something.
Too soon.
Yeah. No, there's some edits in section 6 that need to go over.
My only
So-
question about section 6 is that part at the red at the end.
I took that verbatim from that meeting.
Yeah, well, now that based off our conversation previously with the alternates and making it to the discretion of the chair, I think was the final decision. I don't remember. About having alternates sit just to make up the 5. Would that then render this part kind of mute? Because I mean, if the chairman's gonna say, hey, we got 3 people here, I got 2 alternates, I'm gonna have the 2 alternates sit in so that we have the most number of people possible,
What if
then
you,
why are you gonna also ask the applicant if they want to have
what if
extra
you still
people?
have a project and you still only have 3 members?
Yeah, even the alternate.
Even if the alternates
I
are
was
here.
clearly not thinking about it like that. So there's that. Because your alternates are required to attend the meetings,
Yeah.
but they should hypothetically
Oh, regardless of snow.
be there.
When you have 4 people out and then your alternate then make the one normal.
You're not supposed to talk.
Okay, pipe down over there. This is not public comment section? No
Well, I mean,
unscheduled things?
Becky, with that in mind, how does the wording sound to you?
Good. No problem.
Yeah, when you ignore all of the things that I just said because I didn't think about all of the scenarios, I think it's great.
Okay, great. So there's that. I think that's it then for section 6. That looks good. There's a small change to section 3, an alternate member appointed for a 5-year term. I guess were they in the past a 2-year term or something?
We didn't have a term limit set before, and so it was a conversation in our last meeting, and I think we just
Okay.
said, why wouldn't
Just
we have them
include it.
be the same as everyone?
Make it the same. Sure, sounds good. Again, some alternate member language in section 3, just for clarification. And so that's it. There's a small typo in section 8. I think was just a misspelling. So it seems like we're in agreement on everything except for the section we were discussing, which is
Section 5.
section 5. Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like there's some disagreement on how to handle this. I'm not sure what the best way forward is.
Why don't we?
I will be
Yeah.
happy to look into some alternate wording and work with Stacy and Rick to pull something together to propose for you.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
And if I might add, there's one thing I do not see that's addressed on here is people who participate virtually. It appears to me that you're in person, but you allow people to participate virtually. Public could participate virtually as well, I presume, if they wanted to. And so you often see in rules of procedure statements that require you during or when you participate virtually to have your video camera turned on for the entire course of the meeting and to be fully present and participate, especially for the members. You want the public to also turn their video cameras on at least when their item is up and they're talking. Oftentimes, people have gotten used to not turning their cameras on, and then you don't know who's talking, right? You don't know if the person representing themselves as a certain person is in fact that person. So, my question to you is, in addition to the other language we're going to pull together, do you want me to pull together a couple of sentences that address participation in meetings virtually?
Makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
It does. I assume that might be a new section. I don't know if I see anything here.
I would make it a new section, I think.
Yeah.
Or put it
No, I
under
think that's-
section 6 meetings.
Yeah.
Karen, I can work on that and send you some updated language on that.
Okay.
Okay. Great. I don't know if I have a preference for a separate section or not. But see what you think.
All right.
Okay. Serious question. Any other business? Good. I think that's all items, unless I'm missing something.
I think you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Great. If there is no other business, someone can make a motion to close.
Do we have to make a motion to defer this to another meeting, or does this just be like, okay, we're gonna table it? I'm just asking if we're
Yeah.
supposed to, like, we have to make a motion to then table or defer this
Yes, can you make that motion just like we did for the other?
I can certainly
Oh,
try.
okay,
To. Sure.
great.
Sure.
Thanks
I
for
make a
that.
I make a motion to defer the North Beach Planning Commission rules of procedure discussion and adoption to our February meeting.
Second.
Question. Should that also apply to the alternate member policy? Do we defer to that as well?
Oh, because it's all under the same agenda item. Does it count as all in together? Yes. I'm getting a head shot.
No, that
You
was-
do it one.
That was already done.
Well, we didn't vote on it. Did we? We did?
No.
No.
We did,
No.
we did, it was already deferred.
Okay,
Y'all,
Oh, well,
Oh.
I defer again. I defer more.
okay, perfect, but
then we can vote.
now you can vote.
Eyes.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, everyone.